All right, Hello, everybody, and welcome to Speed Gaming. We have a really exciting race ahead of us. We've got the baby Skips with SirCabby versus Zoast from Funky Town, and my name is Kev Mastix, and I am teammates with SirCabby, so I'm really interested in this. And with me, we have Kip as well, and he's one of Zoast's teammates. So, Kip, how are we feeling tonight?
Good, Kev. Good to see you, man. It was fun racing you earlier this week. Looking forward to both of our team's second race. As you mentioned, SirCabby versus Zoast. This will be Zoast's fourth race of the league. I'm really excited to see him race. You know, I'm a little biased because he's on my team, but also I'm just a big fan of him as a runner. I think he's fantastic, not only at vanilla categories, but randomizer. And I've never seen him do a boss rando, so I'm really excited to see how this goes. But SirCabby's also been working really hard lately. I think he's a good player too, and I think we're going to have fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited, especially since I also ran in the ran a boss randomizer. You know, you were just talking with you, which was an unusual seed for boss rando, where we kind of had both suits and all the artillery we needed kind of right up front, and it was not a very difficult or long seed to complete at all. It actually went very, very fast. So I don't know. I guess when I watch a boss rando from a viewer's perspective, I kind of want to see something trolly, like late power bombs, so that you don't get those up front, or maybe you have to hunt around a little bit more for your supers. So you have to think a little bit more about, you know, the rooms you're going into. Will I need power bombs to get out? Do I need a super to have access here? So I'm kind of curious to see what kind of item loadout we're going to get early on.
Well, we got a reserve tank first, so maybe your dream's about to come true.
That would be kind of wild. But then again, with Cabby as my teammate, I'm kind of also wondering, you know, I know he can handle a trolley seat if he has to, but does he really want to? You know, especially facing Zoast, who really does not need any big introduction in the Super Metroid community, but certainly is deserving of one.
Yeah, and Zoast is, I've mentioned this several times when I've done comms on his runs, but he is you know, most people know him primarily from his vanilla speedrunning, which, of course, pound for pound, I think you would have a hard time arguing anyone has ever done it better. Really just a prolific career. But he actually is quite experienced in randomizers and has even done, I think he used to do a lot of SMZ3. So he's got a lot of experience. He definitely knows what he's doing, and he's very adaptable to a lot of different situations. So regardless of how, you know, quote unquote troll this seat is, I'm confident that he'll be able to handle it. And but, you know, at the same time, it's a race. And so being able to just complete the puzzle is one thing. Being able to do it with speed is a whole different matter. And boss randomizers can put players in very unique situations. And so you kind of have to be on your P's and Q's, because sometimes you might accidentally forget to save, and then the next thing you know, you're in an unwinnable situation or something like that. So we'll see how it happens.
I mean, that's really good to mention. If we don't find any suits early on and they make their way to Kraid, they could potentially find Ridley there without a Varia suit. And you could also find yourself with Ridley, say, without a charge beam and not enough ammo to finish the job. So I would imagine we're going to see our runners save before the bosses, unless they have a loadout they're really comfortable with for anything, like particularly Dragon. If you face Dragon first and you don't have a way to get out of Dragon's lair, you know, you don't have a gravity suit, you don't have a grapple beam, then you know, you could be at a really bad reset if you have forgotten to save.
Right, and for anyone out there that's not familiar, boss rando, like, this is a major minor split. So it's, in terms of the major items, it's you know, the more traditional that a lot of people have seen for a long time. But in the boss randomizer, the four major bosses are randomized, and as it sounds, and at least I think 2 of the 4 have to be random. Like, there are some seeds where, for example, Kraid and Fantoon might be in their vanilla locations, but you know, Dragon and Ridley would have to be swapped. But oftentimes you'll end up with some where 3 or 4 of the bosses are in different places. And this has a big impact on routing and other decisions, because, for example, if Fantoon is in Lower Norfair, where Ridley would normally be, you would have to go down to kill him before you could gather any of the items in Wreck Ship. So there's a lot of changes to the way the logic can kind of flow, if you will, based on these, you know, these changes. So as Kev was talking about, even going to Kraid right off the bat, a lot of times you're not in a position where you can fight the boss that's there, because a lot of times if it's Ridley or Dragon, you won't have the ammo, or you might not even have a way out of the room. Like if Dragon's down there, you might literally be like in a position where you literally can't get out. So you have to be really careful. Usually have to do saves. It's very rare to have a seed where you don't have to save before a boss. Oddly enough, ironically, Kev and I raced one a few days ago where that was actually the case, but those are very rare.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty neat because I think there's a lot of other randos. You can make that play to early wreck ship, which can be very. Oh, check that out, Ice Beam right away. That's a really good major to have early on. As far as not worrying about their Metroids, you can get through terrain a little bit faster, and yeah, you might have to ice clip in a Batoon, but I don't think that's as obviously necessary in this particular kind of rando. But yeah, I lost my track of mine a little bit, but so far pretty good. I would definitely like ice early on. It's not my favorite rando item, but it's up there after you get like bombs and high jump boots. Those are my two favorites.
Ice is one of my personal favorites just because even though it doesn't add much beam damage, it's a progression item, and it also has a lot of great use in Torian and other places. But it's kind of ironic. I would sort of be remiss if I didn't mention Funky Town, our team. Zoast and I are on the same team. We are currently, I believe, 8-1, and the one loss was actually by Zoast a couple weeks ago in the, I want to say, the Chozo randomizer, and it was very unfortunate circumstance. He happened to have not checked Gauntlet, and it had Ice Beam, and it ended up that was the singular progression item in Meridia, and it really was an unfortunate situation. So it's kind of ironic to me that it's like one of the first items that they come across. But ice can, like, especially early, it can at least let you know that you're not going to get in a situation where you are going to have to like search around forever to get through Meridia. So I like that aspect about it. I just don't like anxiety. Any item that lowers my anxiety is good for me.
I can absolutely agree with you there, and that's exactly why bombs are my favorite. I had, from a little bit of GT Classic and from just other randomizers that I've played, I have run out of power bombs in the worst places you can run out of power bombs. So for me, finding bombs reduces a lot of anxiety. I don't have to worry about my power bomb count too much, which power bombs are very, very important, not having bombs, because you can get soft locked really easy if you are bereft of power bombs.
I agree. I actually talked about that, I think, on my last commentary on like Friday night or something like that. But I think bombs are a little underrated. Like, even though they don't allow you to go super fast on certain things, they still open up the possibility of getting through sections. Like, even in our race the other day, I had to use bombs to get through worst room in the game. And even though that was a slow room, the fact that I didn't have to go around the map looking for other items to be able to get through the room logically was still an overall win, if that makes sense. So I'm a big fan of bombs.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree. So right now they're just on the Edikun checks. They're not generally going to go check that minor because it's going to be a little bit far out of the way. So usually just check the major in this category and then make your way to the boss. And depending on what Zoast finds in the big pink area will kind of determine where he goes. But most likely after big pink is cleaned up, you're probably going to see both runners will go to either Upper Norfair or just go straight to Kraid.
Yeah, and let's take a moment, because a lot of this early collection stuff, there's not a ton to talk about unless people are skipping items to gain some time or taking risks. But boss rando, there's very
wow.
Let me explain something, because I did a ton of boss randomizers heading up to the race this week, and even though my sample size in the grand scheme is still small, like, I understand that even doing like 10 to 12, 15 seeds is not like a ginormous sample size, but I had a ton of seeds that either gave me a suit or both suits very early, and that's exactly what happened in our race the other day too. So I don't know. I think part of that is related to the way the logic works with the bosses being in different locations. You know what I'm saying? Like, technically, I believe that you would need access to Varia or Gravity earlier if some of the bosses earlier are the later bosses, if that makes sense. I know what I'm talking about. It's just hard to communicate. Anyway, so I'm not super surprised to see this, but at the same time, if you're SirCabby, we've talked about this a million times. If you're the quote unquote movement underdog, you're probably hoping for some of the bigger items to come later in the run, not right at the beginning. But anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I could tell you, Cabby would definitely be hoping that he ends up going a different direction than Zoast. But again, he was really excited to race Zoast, and he got that that glitch there with the wave gate glitch with the super in just 2 tries. So that was pretty good. He's going to find his Varia suit right now, so I'm sure Cabby's going right now like, all right, so Zoast is most likely going to head down to Lower Norfair sooner than later. And Zoast actually going to do an early X-ray check, which is completely in logic with this many E-tanks and the Varia suit. This is something I wouldn't try. I wouldn't feel comfortable. You have to do very specific deboosts on the waivers, get hit with the waivers in order to use your iframes to not take an excessive amount of damage on the spikes. But definitely not a play I would have expected early from too many runners in the tournament.
Oh, screw attack. An item that is never a progression item other than, well, I take that back. It can be technically a progression item, like if it's the only way to break a block at like BT and the game doesn't give you any power bombs or anything else beforehand. But other than that, it's not an item that's going to be a progression item this late into a run, but very good, strong item in my opinion. Really makes Lower Norfair and a lot of other sections just way more comfortable. You'd be surprised. This is going to sound maybe crazy to some people, but like to me, I think Screw Attack is essentially worth like 3 energy tanks when it comes to the safety that it provides you in Lower Norfair. So like, even if I had only, I would go down there without hesitation if I had Screw Attack.
Yeah, I don't even worry too much about my beam combo. I don't worry. The only thing I usually worry about going down to Lower Norfair is just making sure I have enough power bombs or enough super missiles. If I have Screw Attack, I'm very comfortable in every area of the game, even with low health, which we're not going to have in this seed.
Not looking that way so far, and that reserve is also there, so they currently have 5 each. So that's.
If you want to talk about the movement advantage, and I certainly don't want to throw Cabby under the bus, but Zoast was able to do an entire extra check, a very out of the way one, and you see they're pretty even going into Kraid. But I'm expecting Cabby to go to Upper Norfair first and see if he can find a major that could be helpful on another boss. Like for instance, if he finds Charge Beam in Upper Norfair, he wouldn't be too worried about going to Kraid if it was Ridley. We also have Zoast is going to make the Upper Norfair check.
Yeah, I really like this play. I like this play even without Varia here. I make it quite frequently. I mean, it's seed dependent, but with Varia suit in particular, knowing that you do not have to hell run, it is just so much stronger in my opinion, to go down here and clear a bunch of major items before you even decide which, before you even check Kraid, because there's, in some cases, Kraid already had a boss that you could beat even if you didn't get more items. But there are cases where coming down here and getting items is the thing that lets you beat that boss. And so you end up saving a couple minutes from not having to save and check and reset. We got Speed Booster. I do want to make just a quick point. I've said this many times, and I know some people are going to disagree, but I've already seen people talking about it in the chat, so I just want to remind people, like, the idea of a seed being free, quote unquote, is a very philosophical thing. Personally, I don't think any seed is like quote unquote free, because part of what we're testing here is not just the puzzle aspect of looking for items. It's also how do you move through the room and gain time and separate yourself from your opponent with the items that you have. And so even if, a suit or a seed is front loaded, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's an unfair seed or boring. Personally, I would rather see a seed where I watch the player's execution of their situation more than just lol, it's the items are in a crazy place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like to see just about any combination of randomizers. Sometimes it's almost more exciting to see if again, like you're talking about, if it's really front loaded and then it's just kind of an execution based seed. I think those are really entertaining to watch, especially if the runners are matched up. I just kind of go, it's more about the puzzle for me. I like to see how each individual runner takes the item set they have, and then I like to watch the difference in their decision making, because it's almost like a lot of times in randos, you can see decisions happen on the fly. Like you can almost see Samus emote the decision.
Right, yeah. But to your point, I mean, that's why we have to have a mix of faster and slower seeds, because if every single seed was a troll seed, then everybody would just adjust their play to counter for it. You know what I mean? So you got to have some fast ones and some slow ones. We'll see. This one is looking like a potentially faster one, but at the same time, until you have both suits, you just never really know, because until, suitless Meridia is off the table, you just never know what you're going to run into.
Yeah, I would imagine that Zoast would most likely. If he finds Zoast, yeah, Zoast can get into lower Norfair. Zoast can do pretty much anything. He could speed and Shine Spark to lower Norfair. So I wouldn't be surprised, even if he doesn't find a traditional lower Norfair access item down here, that that could be something Zoast could do. And then if he doesn't find Gravity Suit here,
you can't do that yet. You can only do Spark Norfair if you have Gravity Suit.
Okay, all right. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so basically, and you're not the first person to say something like that. But the reason I mention it is not necessarily to correct you. It's more just to be clear about like what the logic is asking you to do. High jump bootless lava dive, which a lava dive by definition means you don't have gravity. If you have gravity, you can either do a gravity jump or a lava spark or whatever if you have speed booster. But since he does not have gravity, he can't do a Shine Spark into lower Norfair. So right now, even though he's skilled enough to go down there and pull off a dangerous high jump bootless lava dive, the seed is not requiring him to do that. So if he doesn't find high jump boots right now in this upper Norfair section, he's technically supposed to have access to it at some point before he goes down there.
That actually makes perfect sense, and I noticed that Cabby looked like he got Ridley on the first go, so it's a good thing he has Varia, and I think Cabby went back for the save. At first I got nervous that he wasn't going to take the save at all, but knowing Cabby's ability, he should be able to get through this Ridley fight with little no problem. Cabby loves to fight Ridley, does a very good job on it. It's 30 supers to take him out. It looks like Ridley is done or almost done. So that's good. Cabby will have the first boss out of the way, and I would imagine he's going to do the upper Norfair checks that we just saw Zoast make. Meanwhile, I'm going to say that Zoast is probably going to go up and fight Ridley next, and then make his next decision based on what he gets there, unless he hasn't checked Wave. Okay, so he's going to check Wave Beam first.
Yeah, here's the thing. Zoast doesn't currently. By the way, a couple things. This is happening kind of fast. An energy tank at the Ridley location is actually good for Cabby, in my opinion. You would prefer for more of the big ticket items to be out on the map and not behind the forced bosses that your opponent's going to kill anyway, like, at a pretty decent pace of the run. But Zoast is looking for either high jump boots here or bombs is interesting, because before he just picked up bombs, he's got the skill to do a high jump bootless lava dive and go ahead and clear lower Norfair. But the problem is that if he doesn't find gravity or grapple down there or something like that, he would just get destroyed if Dragon was down there. And plus, he doesn't have a way to get through Screw Attack Room, except for now that he has bombs. So in my opinion, I don't think going to lower Norfair is the play. In Boss Randomizer in particular, it is more punishing to try to skip the logic if you're not careful. If he were to go down right here and forget and not save, it would be a disaster if Dragon was in Ridley.
That makes sense. Now, I'm wondering if we'll see. Yep, I was going to say Crocomire would be the next play I would go from here. Because, again, like you said, the access items to lower Norfair could be in any location. So if he finds them at Croc, Zoast can go right to lower Norfair. But, again, I'm sorry, you were talking about Dragon access, in case he faces Dragon there. So I do like to see this deviation in the route, and I wonder if Cabby's going to make the same decision after he goes through his Bubble Mountain area cleanup.
Yeah, we'll see. And the main reason that I understand that danger is because I've literally done it before. I've had a seed where I high jump bootless lava dived, got down to the bottom of lower Norfair, crushed all these strats without, high jump boots and stuff to get there. And then the next thing you know, I literally cannot get out of the room. So Boss Rando is, you have to be careful because it can put you in situations the other ones cannot. So I'm personally, as Zoast's teammate, I'm very happy to see him choosing to go down to Croc. I think it's a perfectly fine play. And regardless of whether he comes up with blanks or not down here, I just think it's a better call, especially given his position in the race, to clear more items before venturing into various parts of the map.
Yeah, I always make my decisions in a rando based on the item set that I have, but I can tell you that I've totally been so excited that I have my item. I'm like, good, I can get into Lower Norfair, and then I get in the worst room in the game, and I'm like, oh, I don't have a way to get out of this room. This is going to be a problem. So I've definitely made some bumblehead decisions like that in these randos for sure.
Look at this awesome spark by Zoast. I wonder if he's going to actually check this minor item. No, he's not going to. But yeah, he's already got 40 supers, which is very, very friendly. That supers are kind of like Ice Beam in a way to me, or maybe Speed Booster. It's like another one of those things where it's like the faster you can get to at least 30 or 35, the more comfortable you're going to be because you know that you can handle all the bosses, even without charge. But let's see what's here at the grapple location. Just an E-Tank. All right, so Zoast ends up collecting Spring Ball and an energy tank for his trouble. It did take a couple minutes, but again, I actually do like this decision, even though it didn't come up with a game-changing item. However, technically speaking, until we find Gravity Suit, Suitless is technically a possibility for Meridia, and having that Spring Ball makes that a little bit easier to digest.
That's what I was kind of wondering after seeing Spring Ball, and we have Ice, even though we have no high jump boots, like you said, Spring Ball can give you the access there. So I wonder if Zoast would do Suitless Meridia, or if he would just take a gamble and go to Wreck Ship and hope that he finds Fantoon and Wreck Ship, because that's another thing in the boss rando. And you might have mentioned it earlier in the show, but for instance, like the Crate Janitor's Closet, you can't have access to that item until you beat Crate. So if you beat like Ridley there, like Cabby did, you saw that Cabby couldn't go into that room. And it's the same thing with Dragon. You can't get Plasma Beam access unless Dragon is finished, and so that same applies to Wreck Ship with Fantoon. So it's very you don't often see a Wreck Ship first play in the boss randomizers, or early Wreck Ship without having seen Fantoon.
Yeah, it's not as common, although I've kind of talked about this a lot too with friends lately, and also on commentary, but it's not a terrible play. I mean, it is a little bit expensive. I think when I tested it myself, it was like 2.5 to 2 minutes and 40 seconds, something like that, to test if it turns out to be a boss that you can't beat. But at least you get some information. But if it happens to be Kraid or Fantoon, in particular, if it's Fantoon at its vanilla spot, it's an incredibly powerful play. But I don't usually like to make it. There are certain circumstances that I will, with certain item sets, maybe against certain opponents, but it can also be a bit of a whiff. But anyway, we'll see what Zoast does here. I liked his save. He made a save above Croc just in case that this was Dragon. He knows he can handle any other boss, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've ever played Super Metroid. I realized that there was a save room behind the Kraid missiles there, which we're not going to see because Zoast did take that save in Upper Norfair, like you said. But I didn't realize there was a save room there until I started this week playing these seeds.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about. And I kind of mention this usually when I'm on commentary. Anytime I make a suggestion, it's not necessarily that I'm saying that this is the 100% correct decision. But if I were in Zoast's position, what I would probably do here is after I killed Ridley right here and got this energy tank, I would probably just go ahead and either hightail it back to Waterway just to make sure that there's not something behind there that I need to check. But I would also go ahead and make the Wreck Ship play in terms of I haven't killed Fantoon, I haven't seen Fantoon, but the logic is not encouraging me to go to Lower Norfair yet, and it's also not encouraging me to do Suitless Meridia, which obviously doesn't even have high jump boots for grapple yet. So I feel like just kind of following what the game is telling you in a way to do is better. Sometimes when you try a little too hard to overcome the logic, you can find yourself in some really unfortunate circumstances. So I think it would be a better play to just continue to kind of search around for the major items right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that play. And you see SirCabby is doing the same checks that we saw Zoast do. And I try everything I can to avoid Suitless Meridia for sure. Not that I don't like it, but it's very slow and it can be kind of tricky. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what Zoast decides. Waterway is one that I have forgotten a couple times because even without Gravity Suit, you can charge a Shine Spark and check behind there. So if you have speed, you need speed for Waterway. So I would definitely, if I remembered, I would check Waterway before making the next play.
Yeah, it's not mandatory, but I think it would be a fine play. Honestly, either way with Waterway, I think is fine. But I do think checking Gauntlet as you go up to Wreck Ship would be a great play. It can't be a suit, but it can be a progression item, like for example, High Jump Boot. Like that could be the the item that or the location where it's trying to get you into Lower Norfair to do other things. So we'll see what he does here. He's got several options.
So going up at Red Tower, so Zoast may very well do just what you said, might check Gauntlet, or Zoast isn't going to have a hard time doing a CWJ, and well, actually no, he can just Shine Spark. He's got speed, so it's going to be absolutely no problems getting over into Wreck Ship area and taking a save, which is always a good thing to do if you're worried about wasting time, I guess.
Yeah, I got
a boss you can't escape.
I think Cabby has been playing really solid. But I really got to hand it to Zoast too. Again, I think sometimes like when you're talking about a player of his caliber, people can sort of accuse you of being like, oh, everybody says great things about him. But I mean, he really is a fantastic player, but he's also very, very smart about his decision making. And I'm a big fan. He hasn't done a single thing in this race yet that I feel like has put him in any kind of like disadvantageous position. So these saves in the locations that he's taken them in particular, I think have been right on point. So he's running a very, very good race so far.
Yeah, it's really, really great with both. And, being Cabby's teammate, I'm happy with Cabby's decision. Cabby knows exactly who he's racing and he knows his ability. And just like me, when I faced you, Kip, as I said, I just want to be able to complete the seed, have a really good time. So knowing Cabby, he's less worried about racing Zoast and more focused on playing his game, making sure he's making good decisions that he's proud of by the time the race is over. His whole thing is, I don't want to check anything ridiculous. I don't want to make any, wild decisions that everybody's like, why on earth would you do that? So, and I think he's doing that very well right now. He's actually making all the same decisions Zoast has made, really. And we are in Wreck Ship, so if this is Dragon, Zoast will have to take a reset.
All right, so this is actually kind of interesting because just so everyone out there is aware, technically speaking, Ridley is the only boss in Boss Randomizer that does not affect the map in any way. Every other boss does, even Kraid. Even though Ridley has an item behind him, oh, look, there's those high.
There you go.
Perfect. So he can't get any more items in Wreck Ship, but that right there, we both know that Gravity can't be at Gauntlet. It could be at Waterway, but that's his ticket into Lower Norfair. However, there's a 50-50 shot right now that it could be Dragon, and so just bear with me here. It's possible that it, wants you to actually, I don't know. I don't know if the logic can force you to do a grapple jump out of there or not, but either way, if I'm Zoast, I don't want to go down to Lower Norfair until I check Gauntlet and Waterway, because if Gravity's down there, or if Gravity's in one of those locations, or I guess in Waterway, that could be the logical way that you're supposed to beat Dragon and get out of the room. So anyway, I don't know if Zoast is aware that he can't get these items. Did Zoast just soft lock himself? I think he did. I think Zoast was not aware that he's not supposed to be in there. So he just lost a few minutes doing that. But that's okay. He can go back and kill Kraid again. But anyway, I guess the point that I was trying to make was just he needs to continue to check items before he goes down and gets himself potentially trapped in a Dragon situation. That would be probably the best choice.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty interesting. But it's kind of been tough sometimes playing all these randomizers and switching the logic every week, and having to turn your brain from one play to the next. I think that's actually been a really fun aspect of all of it, but we can see that anybody can be affected by that. And I wonder if Zoast is going to go right back, or if he's going to go to Gauntlet.
He should go right back.
Going right back.
He knows that those high jump boots are part of the logic to get to lower Norfair. So yeah, he's going to grab them and then he's going to leave. But yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. This boss randomizer functions quite differently than the other ones, and some very unique circumstances can come up.
I'm very happy. I'm kind of curious to see what Cabby's going to do right now. I am hoping Cabby goes up Red Tower. Cabby could even do, like you were saying, Zoast might do earlier, might decide to go and make the play and check the Gauntlet item and hope that he gets a good solid movement item there.
Yeah, the only movement item that could be there at this point is Space Jump, which would be still very good, but I'm going to guess that technically what's available right now? Right now,
Cabby might go to Waterway.
Yeah, I was going to say Waterway can be Grapple, it can be Gravity, but they're still going to need another item before they're supposed to beat Dragon. But it could be that Dragon's in the vanilla location anyway, so it really just depends on how the last two bosses are set up.
That's really good. One thing I love about doing commentary is hearing, being able to have a conversation, hear somebody's perspective on the logic, and that has definitely been something that's helped me get better at the game is by jumping in and doing a lot of commentary. So thanks for all that insight, Kip. That's really useful.
Oh, you're welcome. And you can always double check me. I mean, like, there have been plenty of times where I have misunderstood what the logic is asking for, but there's a couple kind of big critical hitters, and I know for sure you're not intended by logic to do a high jump bootless lava dive. And part of the reason that I know that is because I have done that trick a bunch of times and lost a bunch of races, because even though I sequence broke, it's really funny. Sequence breaking sounds like this thing you're going to do that's going to save a lot of time, but in Randomizer, sequence breaking can actually cost you time. It really just depends on the circumstance. So anyway, we'll see what he does here. I would not be surprised to see him check Gauntlet and potentially even Waterway. If he's thinking about it, I think he can probably kind of remember that he's not equipped to do Dragon yet.
So I've done a lot of randomizers with Cabby. He's actually usually much better at that than I am, and looks like he's definitely going to go make the Gauntlet play right now. He's usually really good about remembering that, so I wouldn't even be surprised if he goes and does Gauntlet check now and then makes his way to Waterway. Although he can get to Wreck Ship, so that might be his next play after this.
I love how they've ended up in sync. I think this is like the third time, but like even though they're technically in different portions of their run, but they've somehow managed to be on the same screen like 3 times.
Jeez. I was doing I did a Metroid boss randomizer this afternoon with a couple of the people in the league, and we ended up getting Varia at Shack Tool, and it was the last location for both teams. We literally looked everywhere, and that was the only thing that was kind of trolly about the seed. Other than that, you got all your ammo up front, you got all your movement items up front. It was just really the quest for the Varia suit. And the way the bosses worked out is one team had gone into Wreck Ship first and got lucky that Fantoon was there, and then they were able to kind of get everything a little bit faster, but still last location, that Varia. So they might last location that gravity suit.
It's possible. It won't be at Shack Tool, but it'll be in Meridia for sure. I would assume Zoast is going to Waterway here. It looks like he doesn't really care that much about the miners here, but he is going to the back. So I'm going to assume he's going to keep going down here. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. I like the play. Seems like the most reasonable thing to do. And if this is a blank, like for example, if this is like an energy tank, then what that means is gravity is either in Lower Norfair, unless I'm misremembering any major that they've checked. Oh, I take that back. You know what? We haven't talked about Kraid yet. I was in the middle of making a point when Zoast soft-locked earlier. Kraid, when you kill Kraid, you now have access to the Kraid energy tank location that you did not have access to earlier when they went through the room. So it's technically possible that a progression item is there. Also, Wreck Ship will not turn on, and you can't get any of those items until Fantoon is dead. So, you know, and then Dragon, if you kill Dragon, you can actually end up completing Meridia without having ice or speed booster if you kill Dragon early, because then it opens up a back door essentially where you can skip Botwin. So anyway, it's an interesting set of circumstances.
I'm enjoying it so far. I'm actually glad Cabby's making this play and going to Wreck Ship. I was a little bit nervous after he went to Gauntlet that maybe he would go to Waterway after that, which would definitely take him way farther out of the way as far as Wreck Ship is concerned, especially if we do find that gravity suit at the Kraid E-Tank location. So this is a good play for Cabby, and Cabby will find Kraid.
Sorry, Chad, I think I'm coming through on Kev's. Occasionally I hear his microphone activating, and I'm not trying to talk through the thing, so sorry about that. And sometimes it might come through a little bit on mine. I'm not trying to get any bleed here.
Oh, sorry about that. I actually do have headphones on, so I was a little curious about the comment.
So real quick, we saw a blank at Waterway. There is still one item location to check before Lower Norfair. And technically, someone should correct me if I'm wrong, but with Spring Ball and High Jump Boots and Speed Booster, technically I think Mama Turtle in Logic right now, even without Grapple. So in theory, it could be that you have to go to Mama Turtle suitless, then have to turn around and go back down to Lower Norfair.
That's pretty neat logic, actually. Not sure I would want to be playing this seed right now, but that is pretty cool to watch. I always enjoy watching suitless Meridia. Cabby having a little bit of trouble on Kraid.
I see your mic activating, but I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me now? Huh.
Maybe it's just me. I apologize. I think I can hear you now.
All right. That's great. Well, we got SirCabby just picked up his high jump boots, and there's Space Chump for Zoast. So, you know, still on the hunt for that gravity suit, looking more and more like it's probably going to be in Meridia, but I think our chances of suitless Meridia are about 100% right now.
This is kind of interesting situation because technically speaking, I actually don't know what I would do if I was Zoast. Probably be smarter to save like right here. This is a unique situation. I'd probably save right here at Frog Speedway and then go down to Lower Norfair, and then if I got down there and whiffed on every item and didn't get gravity or whatever I needed to get out, then and then there was Dragon, I guess I'd reset here and then go back to Mama Turtle, but yeah, this is a bit weird.
It's definitely interesting, so I guess we'll see what happens, because if Cabby decides to go to Meridia, and, you know, Cabby finds that gravity suit in Meridia, Zoast has all of Lower Norfair that he'll have to full clear, which is, you know, less majors than, say, an area like Wreck Ship or Meridia. But that would actually be pretty interesting, and would help give Cabby a little bit of an upper hand for a minute or two. Yeah,
this is probably what I would do here too, but again, I have literally lost a race of boss. Well, it wasn't like a tournament race, but I have lost a race on this exact play, getting down to Lower Norfair and not having a way out of Dragon's room. I'm pretty confident that a double spring ball jump is not a required piece of tech for the logic. So I guess what I'm just trying to acknowledge here that it would have to be a very specific set of circumstances, okay, for you to get down here, and for the worst possible situation to come up, but it is still technically on the table. If he does not find grapple and he does not find gravity at Screw or Fireflea, I don't think gravity can be behind a suitless Dragon, and I don't think grapple beam can be either. I could be wrong about that. Someone should correct me in chat, but anyway, it is certainly possible that his progression is at Mama Turtle, and he might have to reset. So anyway, we'll see.
Definitely not going to be happy to find that reserve tank right there, and looked like he thought about refilling his energy, but then I guess said forget about it. I mean, Zoast has screw attack and crystal flash ammo if necessary, so definitely not concerned about wasting any more time looking for health, I'm guessing. And but also, like you said, it's not going to have any problems getting through Lower Norfair, with the exception of it being Dragon at the boss fight and nothing. Trying to think of so Fireflea is the only major location that he can check right now, right? The other one would be.
It's the only one left, and it looks like, unless I'm misunderstanding chat, it is technically possible that. And again, you know, we're sitting here talking about what the logic is. Clearly, there are ways around a lot of these things, but I'm just strictly talking about it from the perspective of what is he going to be forced into, right? Apparently, grapple can be behind suitless Dragon, and then you are expected to be able to grapple jump out. Well, y'all, here we go.
So I'm really hoping Cabby goes to Meridia. I got to tell you, I hope he makes that play. Because with high jump boots, I know Cabby can lava dive, so he could take the same approach, and he can do the Green Gate glitch, and he can take the same approach to Lower Norfair that Zoast is taking right now. But Cabby does not have screw attack, because Cabby did not do the check at X-ray yet. And without space jump or grapple, I don't expect him to. So I really do think Cabby will go to Meridia and try suitless.
Of course, you know, probably the most likely situation here is he gets down here and it's Phantoon, but you know, we got to talk about all scenarios and especially the worst case scenarios. But I'm going to assume my guess, if I had to bet, was that this is going to be Phantoon and that Gravity's probably going to be in Wreck Ship or something like that. We'll see.
Oh boy, you know what, Cabby, if he remembers about the Kraid E-Tank location, he could pick up the space jump we saw Zoast do and then head to X-Ray after that. So that's one thing I don't know. I do not know how comfortable Cabby is doing suitless Meridia. Looks like he thought about it for a second. I'm doing suitless Meridia here if I'm Cabby. I actually kind of like suitless Meridia. Although I haven't had to do it in a race yet, so.
Yeah, I mean, suitless is nothing super crazy, but at the same time, he doesn't have grapple, so he's only expected to be able to check like one location, or I actually don't remember exactly what the logic is to check the left sandpit. But anyway, let's find out if this is Dragon or Phantoon.
Oh boy,
it is Dragon. So exactly what I referred to earlier appears to be the situation, which is, and again, I'm reading chat like, you know, they're a little bit behind what I'm seeing. So it's like, I don't actually know for sure if I got the correct answer on this, but like, I didn't think that the logic could ask you to do suitless Dragon and then give you grapple beam. So if that's not the case, then he's doing this technically out of logic, and that would mean either grapple or gravity would have to be, okay, he's resetting anyway.
And I'm feeling really bad right now because Cabby looks like he is in fact going to go to Lower Norfair and is not as well equipped for Lower Norfair as Zoast was. Zoast had space jump and had screw attack. And so Cabby is going to be at a disadvantage with that, and we all know what boss he's going to find there. So I hope Cabby is smart with his saves and doesn't get in any kind of crazy soft lock situations before realizing he's got to go.
Okay, yeah, it's unfortunate for him. If he had done the suitless Meridia portion, he'd be in better shape. But I mean, he doesn't know that, just like Zoast didn't. They're just responding, with the best idea that they think they can come up with at the moment. But Sloter's giving me the very clear answer. Sometimes with the delay, it's hard to tell what people are responding to, but grapple can be behind suitless Dragon. However, the logic does not intend for you to ever be in that situation. So that means by default that Mama Turtle here has to have progression of some kind. And again, I mentioned this earlier, I don't remember the exact item combination that you have to be able to check left sandpit. It's one of those things where it's like, I know what you have to get there, but I don't know what the logic intends for you to have to check that item, if that makes sense. If anybody can say what that is, that'd be nice. But right now, I think Mama Turtle's the only thing officially on the list at the moment.
Just going by just deducting items in my head, that I would have to agree with you on that. Following the logic has never been my strongest play. I just, again, when I play a seed, I just kind of go, okay, this item gets me here, this item gets me there. So I'm definitely not the guy to ask about the logic. Again, I agree that they're both making very good plays based on what they have and what they think, where they think they need to go. Cabby's going to have to IBJ out of here to get out of this room. So it's got a while. I feel bad just knowing that he's going to find Dragon down there is just like, it's almost heartbreaking for a teammate to watch. But meanwhile, we get to see Zoast do a suitless Meridia, which can be a little bit easier with Plasma. You only got to shoot him once, but to freeze him, but can also be a little tough as far as killing the enemies you need to climb through this area.
No, I absolutely hate having Plasma as a beam. Now, I guess I'd keep it on if I only had Ice Beam it by itself, but if I have Wave or Spazer or both, I'm using those to get through. And that's exactly what we've seen Zoast do here. Unfortunately, he had the big jump or whatever to get in, but then he kind of moved to the left a little bit early and ran into that fish, and it killed his momentum. I don't know exactly what he's doing here. This is one of those things where I think this sequence of going this way is technically not required, but I know that you can do like some kind of spring ball jump, I think up to this fish or something. I can't remember exactly like how tight it is. I think this is actually a little bit tighter than a normal spring ball jump, like in other portions of Meridia, if that makes sense. But obviously Zoast seems to be aware, so he's going to do it this way.
I didn't even think you could go out that way. So that's pretty cool. I actually taught myself how to spring ball jump in Meridia the day before I had a race that I had to learn how to spring ball jump in Lower Norfair, and that was not fun. So I'm not a huge fan of spring ball jumps, but it is pretty cool to see this room kind of done a way I haven't seen yet.
There we go.
Well done, too.
I might have to go look at that one. That's not one. It doesn't look like it's that hard. I think it's just a little particular on where you get the spring ball jump, and I assume you have to freeze the fish at a very specific location too, because as you know, the fish kind of go up and down in the room, and so a lot of times, even in RBO, there's gravity. Yeah. A lot of times in RBO, you'll end up, having to freeze the fish in a very specific location during its cycle to make the jumps.
Yep, and I'm not surprised that Zoast knew some extra tech to get an item. So really cool to see that climb. And Zoast has his gravity suit, so we'll head to the boss in this area and make his way to Turian, and that will complete the seed.
Yeah, he's going to he's going to head down and kill Dragon, and then afterwards, if he wants to, he can actually skip Batwoon. Since Dragon will be dead, we'll see what he chooses to do.
If Sephi in the chat pointing out that screw attack can confuse you forgetting about space jump, I definitely, if I ever get screw attack without space jump, I always feel like I have space jump, and it weirds me out. That was one thing to get used to playing randomizers when you're very familiar with the vanilla game, is just having items you wouldn't normally have in a certain scenario.
Yeah. The funny thing is for me, I've done a lot of RBO, and in that one, you actually have screw attack before you get space jump. And plus, that's probably the majority of your practice for RBO, because the Lower Norfair section is usually where you end up spending most of your time. But I actually kind of dig the animation being there, but not having the actual item. I think it looks kind of cool. But it can be a little off-putting for people who haven't, maybe run that category.
I'm just enjoying the game, and we might even see some near sync if Zoast can catch up to Cabby down here. But I think Cabby's going to find out really quick that he's got to bail out of Lower Norfair, maybe forgetting he has the gravity suit on right now because of the color palette swap. Oh, what a bummer. Imagine after all that finding Dragon down here. This is the one thing that can be really frustrating about these boss randos, but also I think makes it an extra challenge for you when you play the game in a different way.
Yeah, this is the exact reason why I expressed some trepidation when both players were deciding whether or not to come to Lower Norfair, because even though there are situations that exist and tech that exists to get you out of here, actually, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I guess the only thing that would get you out of this particular situation SirCabby's in and Zoast was in earlier is if you do a double springball jump, because I guess you can't even do a grapple jump out of here, and you can't really do a crystal flash you can't do a spark suit that I'm aware of without the grapple beam. So maybe one does. Well, I take that back. You can do a spike suit, but I don't think you can do a blue suit. But at the same time, you're not in Meridia anyway, so never mind. I take that back.
Yeah, thinking, normally you would have to do some kind of a, like you said, worry about that shine spark to get out of the precious room after getting out of Dragon's Lair. But I would be thinking that same thing when I was in here. I wouldn't even remember that I came from Lower Norfair. I would just get in Dragon mode. It looks like Cabby's gonna try to beat Dragon, and then I don't know. Maybe Cabby knows some tech. Maybe he does know how to do a double springball jump. But we're going to have another Dragon fight on the screen coming up in about a minute and a half, 2 minutes when Zoast gets down there. See how far Cabby gets into this fight and see what he opts to do. And I know Cabby actually does know how to grapple jump if he had to do it. So let's say grapple beam was behind Dragon. But that's assuming that not only he finishes this fight, but has enough health, which he probably does not, to get a good grapple swing.
This is not good.
No.
I think this is going to kill Dragon right here. Okay, perfect. The one thing that we kind of failed to mention is, there's always a lot of discussion between the commentators and the chat about, what a player can do. He can, do this, and this is a way he can get out. And while a lot of that is true, that's not the only consideration. Another major consideration is how fast you're going. And unfortunately, going fast for a suitless ammo kill is something that just isn't really going to happen. I mean, you can one-round Dragon in a suitless ammo fight. I practiced that a little bit when we were doing route rando, but it's just not a scenario you're normally going to be in. But yeah, charge being there is bad for Cabby. Obviously, he can't get out. And then, Zoast is going to find that immediately, and then that's official go mode.
I think this is the moment Cabby realized that suitless Meridia was the play. So you can see Cabby's going up. So hoping Cabby can get through it. I would like to see Cabby complete this seed. We know that I would imagine Zoast is going to check that item and hope for charge beam. Because he does not have enough supers or regular missiles to get through Turian and Mother Brain 1. So this is just going to, again, complete the seed. I had forgot about the ammo situation earlier, but Zoast does not have to worry about it anymore. Cabby remembering the crate item. And I think he'll go check X-ray. Kind of hoping he doesn't, but it is a possibility.
Oh, yeah, I kind of forgot that he hadn't checked that yet, because he technically had not had a logical... Well, actually, he might have. You mentioned earlier that it was in logic when Zoast did it with Varia and I think a few E-tanks.
I think it is, but I don't know for a fact.
I think you have to have another item, too. I think either high jump boots or ice. There's something else that you technically, by logic, are supposed to have to be able to do that. I don't think they push you to do the whole strat.
If you can get to the last door, I know you can do it with bombs. You're going to take a little bit of damage from spikes. There you crouch jump Cabby.
As Glove is pointing out, the X-ray D-boost is not required, so it's either bombs or ice. Okay, yeah, and so technically it still was on the table, though, because he did have ice at that time. So now he's got space jump, and he'll be a little bit more comfortable with it.
Yep, so going right to Meridia. I have not seen Cabby do suitless Meridia, so I definitely wish him some good luck. It looks like he's going to opt for spring ball jumping as opposed to freezing and jumping. What I like to do is I go to that right wall there, and I like to super the wall and then freeze the crab. And then I'll jump on the crab, and then I'll freeze the fish. And that's kind of how I'll navigate this first part of Suitless Meridia before I go up the rest of Main Street.
I think the main question for me right now is, how did Zoast manage to collect every major item like beams and suits except for Spazer? How did he manage to skip that one?
That's wild. Spazer's probably in left sandpit or at Shack Tool.
I wonder if Zoast remembers that he has plasma. I'm not saying he needs to put it on right now, although technically speaking, it would make the Phantoon 2-round considerably easier. But he took it off earlier for Suitless Meridia. And the only reason I ask is because I have been guilty many, many times of taking an item off and then forgetting that I took it off and then never turning it back on for the rest of the run.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Looks like I don't know if Cabby meant to kill that crab on purpose. I think possibly to get this springball jump. Maybe he feels more comfortable with springball jumping. He's doing a pretty good job at it. So I'm guessing that this is his go-to Suitless Meridia strat. And let's see. I think somebody had mentioned, I hope Zoast remembers to go kill Phantoon. Let's see. Zoast, so Phantoon, obviously by process of elimination, has to be the boss at Dragon.
Got a question in chat. What does a boss randomizer mean? A boss randomizer is a guitar pedal that mixes distortion, delay, and also reverb. And every time you press it, it gives you a different sound.
I wish I had a boss pedal for sure.
I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to be snarky. Boss randomizer just means that the bosses can be randomized in their major locations. So in this particular seed, for example, Ridley was at Kraid. Let's see. Kraid was at Wreck Ship. Dragon was in Ridley, and we're about to see Phantoon here at the Dragon location.
Yeah,
there is plasma.
I hope Cabby does figure out how to get his gravity suit with the same springball or the bomb jumps coming out of Mama Turtle like we saw Zoast do. And that will help Cabby get through this. But we do know Cabby has to make the trek all the way down through Lower Norfair, and without space jump and screw attack, he's not going to be able to make that trip as fast as Zoast did. But good luck, Cabby. I hope you're able to pick up this gravity suit, and Zoast is on his way to go fight Phantoon, and then we'll head straight to Turian after that. And I'm actually excited to see that with the loadout Zoast has. I think Zoast has just a clean and beautiful Turian, so hopefully we'll all get to see a really well-executed finish to this race.
Yeah, and his ammo's looking real good. His energy's going to be perfectly fine. Even though it looks like he doesn't have that much, relatively speaking, to the other tanks, I assure you that 298 plus some reserve is perfectly fine right here. On a quick tangent, as people are pointing out in chat, it is impossible for the boss randomizer to have the bosses at their all 4 vanilla locations. Personally, I actually kind of think that having that be just on the table, it would still only be 1 out of 24 chance, but I actually kind of think it would still be cool to include it because, you're still playing differently because you think they could be randomized, and so I still think it could be kind of interesting. But I understand, why they would want to take it off.
That would be kind of interesting. It'd just be like a major minor split rando, but definitely you would still see the kind of different kind of routing and people taking saves, so it would definitely not be the same as a vanilla run, even with the vanilla boss order.
I don't know if anyone caught what happened to Zoast. It was kind of unfortunate he got flame lamed, but to get a 2-round with charge full beam combinations, you need to get 7 of your 8 opening volley missiles on each round. You need to connect with 7 of 8, and he ended up only connecting with 6, which meant that the 2 charge shots he did, 1,800 plus 600 is 2,400. Phantoon has 2,500 health, and then unfortunately he got flame lamed again on the 3rd opening, and then had to wait for Phantoon to come back. But Phantoon is dead. The thing is like right now, I can't speak for Zoast, but I would bet that he does not feel great about how the seed has gone. But it's not because he's played poorly. It's just like no one enjoys losing 3, 4, 5 minutes doing something and then having to reset, and it feels like, oh my God, what if my opponent didn't do that, right? We know he's comfortably ahead, but he's probably still feeling a little frustrated, and to have the fan tune go that way probably doesn't feel too great either. So he's way ahead, but he, even when you're ahead in randomizer, you don't always feel like that.
Yeah, I have won a few randomizer matches in the last several months, but not one did I ever feel like I was anything but very behind. It's like the first time you make a couple checks that don't go your way, or you feel like, am I in the right area, or did I make the wrong decision? I think I feel like I'm behind in the first five minutes of a rando. And somebody wanted to point out in chat, I even forgot that Cabby did pick up Space Jump, that he did go back, and it looks like Cabby might still forget he had it, but he could have jumped off Mama Turtle, and instead of wasting time doing the bomb jumping, Cabby could have done a Space Jump right off of Mama Turtle. So if I remember, I might ask Cabby about that, but I'm not sure he's going to want that mentioned, because
it's okay.
He probably feels really far behind, too.
I figure if you can't laugh at yourself a little bit during these races, then you don't really have like a sense of humor. So basically, like you gotta take it for what it is. Sometimes you're gonna accidentally do things that are goofy. Like I've forgotten many times that I had items and then done things that were way slower. And we're all having a good time. I know it's competition. We want to win, but at the same time, it's you gotta laugh at yourself a little bit. You know what I mean?
I do always enjoy going back and looking at it. I had a wonderful match against Garby where I was ahead for most of the whole race, and then I ended up going all the way back, or I ended up getting the worst room in the game, having nothing to get out of it, and then going all the way for a spring ball in Rex Ship, which I didn't need to do that because I could have just gone to Meridia. Forgot I had gravity suit, and then I ended up spending 15 minutes teaching myself how to do a spring ball jump in Lower Norfair, and I'm like, oh God, everybody's watching me do this, and this is such a ridiculous decision. But sometimes when you're racing, you're just in the heat of the moment. You're just like, how can I complete this seed? And you forget some things. But it is fun. I had to laugh at that later.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's also what makes it fun, knowing that it's a competition and knowing that people are watching. I mean, it can be a little, nerve-wracking sometimes, but really I kind of feel like it's fun. Like that's what kind of brings a little extra energy and juice to it. So, but anyway, Zoast is very, very comfortable here. He should have, very little issue, I think, dealing with the Metroids in Torian. He's got a ton of strats that he can employ, and he actually just most recently got finished running Hundo, and he's got all the items he would need to run all the Hundo strats. So, and he's got just a ton of ammo, so it shouldn't be a problem. Beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to say that spring ball strat in Metroid Room 1 and the way he finished that third Metroid room there were just absolutely crisp. Real beautiful work right there.
I wonder if we might see I don't know. I guess we might see him potentially try the spring ball baby skip. He could go for it. But the way he's setting it up, I believe he's probably doing the regular one. Let's find out. Yeah, he's doing the regular one. So he'll do that. And then, unfortunately, just a little too quick on that last jump there. I expect he might do the spring ball Zeb skip. We'll see. I actually don't know what he prefers in this circumstance. I probably, with this much ammo, would probably run the spring ball Zeb skip and just not turn off screw. But he's really good at doing the down back method, and I'm not good at that. So he might do that instead. We'll see.
So right now, Cabby is going to make his way down to Lower Norfair. Hopefully he remembers, now just having gone through Lower Norfair already, Cabby might forget that he had Dragon to deal with, but that was such an awful situation. I don't completely expect him to forget. So hopefully Cabby goes down to Lower Norfair, and then we'll work his way through Dragon down there. And Zoast, I'm sure, is going to make easy work of Mother Brain. And it looks like Spring Ball.
Dang, his version of it is so cool, man. Nice.
Sometimes when I watch guys like Zoast play or UKIP, I just get lost in just watching the movement and the just the way y'all control Samus is just mind-boggling amazing.
Well, thank you. I will say, in fairness, that I'm like a bargain bin version of other players, but I'm usually my shtick in this game is trying to find the easiest thing I can do that's still kind of fast. But yeah, Zoast definitely has access to a lot of fantastic strats that he's either come up with or perfected over the years. Looks like he is not going to do a stand-up glitch. I think he's just going to damage down and then just hang out.
Almost looked like he took that ketchup shot, just deliberately saying, "Oh, this will help me damage down a little faster."
I will make a quick macro point. Well, before I do, I would like to again point out that Zoast is ahead and is going to win, assuming nothing weird happens between here and the ship. But SirCabby really has played well. There hasn't been anything that SirCabby has done that I believe was a bad choice or a lack of execution or anything like that. I really think he's played quite well given the circumstances. And whenever you're racing anybody, that's all you can really do. You just got to play your game, and then whatever happens. But I think he's done a real good job. With that said, though, if y'all look at the timer, both of these runs are going to end up being over an hour, and that is far more common, I believe, in Boss Rando. Not every seed's going to be like that. There are still some that are very quick, but even if you get pretty good items early, sometimes the way the bosses are laid out can be quite challenging or just eat up a lot of time. And if you look at the times that people have produced, like in this week of competition, you see a lot more hour-plus times, even by experienced runners. So Boss Rando can really present some interesting scenarios.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm actually very proud of how SirCabby is running. He made basically all the same choices I would have made in this, and making all the right choices here, going to check the screw attack location because that could have something he needs. He's probably wishing he had screw attack, or could just be charging up the spark because he does like the fast pillars. Oh no, Cabby already checked that earlier. I forgot we've already been to Lower Norfair. But anyways, he's going to go to Dragon, finish Dragon, and then we'll head back to Meridia.
Yeah, I think he might have checked it earlier, as you pointed out,
Right.
and he knows that charge is there. In terms of people responding to me about my time this week, y'all didn't see all the practice runs I did, and I assure you that they were a lot of them were significantly slower than what I produced on Thursday. But yeah, he doesn't have screw because that was the item that was, I think, as you pointed out, at the X-ray location.
Yep.
Doesn't mean he should have too much trouble. He does have plasma. Plasma is another one of those really safe items to have in Lower Norfair. The difference between having plasma versus not, if you don't have screw, is actually pretty significant. So I'm hoping he can use that to his advantage down here.
Yeah, using the plasma allows you to clip through the Three Stooges or Three Musketeers, so it makes it a little bit safer getting through there, and also the extra firepower if you need to take them out with just the beam. It won't take very long. It's quicker than just doing supers. And Zoast is just about done.
Yep, and Zoast is going to finish in first with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 10 seconds. Congratulations to Zoast and Funky Town. I'm happy to see that since that's my team. We're going to move to 9-1, and next week, Zoast and Galamaz will be running our two random start randomizers. This will be my first week off of the season, so I'm looking forward to watching those. But GG.
Yeah, GG Zoast.
Looks like Zoast will come in for an interview shortly.
So meanwhile, Cabby will go down and do his dragon fight, and this time Cabby has everything he needs to take out Dragon and get out of the lair, so he'll be very happy to finish that. And I would expect Cabby to finish. Cabby doesn't like to stop early. He doesn't want to forfeit. His thing was he wanted to get through all his races in Rando League without forfeiting, so I am expecting Cabby to go all the way through to the end, even though Zoast is finished already.
Oh yeah, I can respect that. It's very rare that I forfeit too, so I identify with his his philosophy.
So I applaud this play for sure.
It's kind of one thing when the opponent beats you. It's another thing, like, you don't want the seed to beat you. You know what I mean?
I'm absolutely there. I had the same mentality joining the league as well, and I think actually made us pretty good teammates. We're matched pretty well together. We all, myself and my other two teammates, have roughly the same skill level as far as randos are concerned, and we're just happy to take part in our first league. And that was the thing we said going into it. Like, we're going to do our best to finish it and not let the game beat us.
I think that's the thing that brings everybody in the Super Metroid community together. It's like the game is so hard. It's like that's why everybody gets along, because we're all competing against the same thing. We're not competing against each other. We're competing against the game.
I wonder if Cabby forgot that it's Dragon down here, because it looks like he's farming supers to like 30 as if he's expecting Ridley. I mean, this seed was tiring with going to Norfair twice and all the places that Cabby's been. I kind of wonder if he forgets which boss he's got to face right here. It's interesting. I think we do have Zoast is going to be joining us in a few moments.
You know, I gotta say, this Dragon room looks way more scary with this color palette.
I didn't even know you could change color palettes and any of these randomizers. Started watching some of the races restream in the SM Rat tournaments with. That was wild.
And we are joined by Zoast, the winner of today's competition and taking Funky Town to 9-1. Congratulations, Zoast! You had a really nice race, a really challenging seed. You know, tell us what you thought about the seed and also just boss randomizers in general.
What?
Hello, Zoast?
Heard him for a second.
Yeah, I see his mic like activating a few times in a row and then kind of cutting back off. We'll give him a second to sort it out and then we'll get back to it.
Sounds good. While we're waiting for Zoast, Cabby had a pretty decent Dragon fight right there. No problem. He's going to find his charge beam behind Dragon, and then we'll see Cabby will make his way all the way back through Lower Norfair and go through Meridia and find Phantoon.
Zoast could be the unfortunate. This happened to me several times recently. Like, sometimes if things get messed up in Discord, it can like default to different things for your microphone, or maybe the settings are changed or something. So like sometimes I've had it to where everybody can hear me on my stream, but then for some reason Discord keeps messing up. So we'll give him a second and hopefully he can get it sorted out here.
I am wondering if Cabby is going to pick up any more safety items on the way. I mean, at this point, I think he's got every movement item he can need. Just get his way through Lower Norfair. Try to have a very clean Meridia, a clean Phantoon fight, and see what he does when he goes down to Turian.
You know what? While we're waiting on Zoast, I have a fun question for you, Kev, and also chat.
Yeah.
Oh, Zoast, are you there? I thought I saw his mic activate.
Yeah, I saw the same thing.
What do you think is the most iconic Metroid item? I'm gonna set the table. I feel like it's probably the screw attack.
The screw attack, aside from Morph Ball, to be perfectly honest, I don't know too much about Metroid outside of Super Metroid. This is I've played this, and I played the original Metroid like back in the 80s when I was a kid, and I just thought it was the hardest game ever. And so I don't know. Judging by those two games, yeah, Spring Ball and Screw Attack for sure.
I guess I just say screw because it's like usually one of the last items you get, and it's just like way OP. But also, it's like the icon for Screw Attack is like the Metroid icon. You know what I'm saying? Like even right now we're staring at it on
That's
the
true.
screen. So anyway, let me try again. I hate to accidentally mess up Zoast, but Zoast, are you there?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Audio issues.
It's great to see you. Congratulations on a great race. A bit of a troll seed, but I thought you handled it real well. Tell us about it.
Hey, who is giving me all these plandos? That's what I want to know. First off,
actually, I can answer that question for you. It's the very randomizer. But anyway, continue.
Oh my god, I thought I was gonna lose that one for sure. It's like, oh my god, sorry guys, I'm like the weak link of the team. Apparently, I'm gonna lose all our races.
Well, just because you won today doesn't mean you're not the weak link, but don't worry.
That's for damn sure.
I'm just kidding with you.
You shouldn't be. I didn't think that the wreck ship stuff was going to spawn, but I wanted to check anyway. But then I realized I soft locked myself, or I think I did. And I was like, oh my god.
Are you talking about at wreck ship?
Yeah, when I went to right side supers after it wasn't open. And then
I know you're frustrated by that, but I do want to, like, one thing I said right before that happened, and I really want to give you some kudos because, you know, you are an experienced randomizer player. You've done a lot of major minor, you've done a lot of dash, and you've done like full with SMZ3 and stuff, and you're really a great player. This season is the first time that you've kind of dabbled in some of these kind of more unique randomizers, and they're so weird because they can put you in these incredibly niche, strange situations. And I actually thought, you know, like, even though you accidentally did that and you didn't know, it's not a big deal. But like before that, I thought all of your saves and how you routed and everything was like really, really very good. So I think you played very smart in this thing. So even though I know you were frustrated by that, I still think you had a great performance. Talk us through like what you were thinking when you got down to Dragon being in Lower Norfair, because Cabby had the same thing happen to him, and you never want to see it.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe. Well, see, if I had charge, you could have done that fight with charge. I think it would have been pulled off, but you could have at least gone for it. But I don't think I had I don't remember how many supers. What did he take? 20 supers? I probably could have done it. It probably was doable there. I just messed up and used too many missiles, and I didn't have enough Crystal Flash.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think just 20 supers kills. Wait, is that right?
Yeah, 20 supers for Dragon.
Okay, so yeah, I could have done it there if I would have just done it right. But, you know, I just wasn't ready. I was kind of getting frantic at that point because I was feeling bad about the way it all, you know, played out. Let me ask you one thing. For this randomizer, do you have to have gravity before logically going down to Lower Norfair?
Okay, so no. It depends, though, because if Fantoon, I think Fantoon was still open. If Fantoon had been the boss down there, then technically you wouldn't have needed anything else to go down there and kill him. And like in a lot of seeds, you'll see that, and then gravity will be in wreck ship because it doesn't open till you kill Fantoon. But technically, it was kind of unfortunate because I kind of called it early. I said the worst case scenario would be if Mama Turtle had the progression item, and then both players go down there like with every other item they would need except for to deal with Dragon. And so that was just unfortunate that happened, but it happens to everybody.
So Lava Dive, you can do logically Lava Dive with high jump and grab. I mean, Maria, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so I feel better about that then, because I was thinking, you know, I can go up and there's one check, or I can go down and there's like 2 checks at least. I guess it would have to be 2 if it was right on there. But I figured my odds were better going down because I had those 2 checks before the boss. And then it could have just been Fantoon. So there's only like one, you know, it had to have been that progression for that to have happened. So that was kind of what I was thinking. But then when I got down there, I was like, oh my god. After I was going back up, I was like, oh my god, maybe you logically have to have grav to get down there. And I just really messed up. Like, in that case, you would have known it would be at Spring Ball or at Mama Turtle.
Yeah, and see, the thing is even though technically it didn't work out the way you wanted, you didn't actually mess up because you don't know for sure that gravity's not in Lower Norfair until you go down there and check it, you know?
Right. Yeah, so it hurts,
But otherwise, I mean, execution-wise, it was really nice. You had a lot of great things. I mean, you were able to run 100% touring. It was real smooth. In particular, I love that spring ball Zeb skip method that you use. But Kev, what questions do you have for Zoast?
I mean, I guess he kind of answered all of them. Just thanks Zoast for putting on a good movement display for everybody. Every check you made was pretty logical, and to be honest, Cabby did the same checks, albeit not the same order that you did. But when Gravity is in such a trolly location like that, I mean, I don't know. When I'm playing a rando, I feel behind like 5 minutes into the race. As soon as I get like one check that doesn't play out, I'm like, oh gosh, I got to work really hard now. So. Right. This was definitely a frustrating seat. I'm glad you guys were playing it and I wasn't, although I do feel bad for Cabby, my teammate, because definitely a troll seat. But thanks for a good show. It was really great to watch.
Yeah, no problem.
So Zoast, real quick, a couple more things. That moves Funky Town to 9-1. We have 4 more races left, 2 next week, and then the 2 that are on the week 7 before the playoffs. You only have 1 more that you got to run next week's random start, and then after that, it's all dash for you for the rest of the time. So you won't have to deal with any more potentially plandomizer situations. Hopefully,
I'll get a plando and dash. Don't worry.
Yeah, probably so. But but in all seriousness, random starts coming up next week. It's a really unique type of randomizer. I haven't done any myself, but I've watched Maniacal do some and some things like that. So I'm kind of interested to see, but tell us just a little bit about how the season's gone. Like, I was really happy that you decided to participate. It's always fun being on your team. So are you at least enjoying yourself, even though you're getting some troll seeds?
Yeah, of course I am. I'm looking forward to the rest of it too. Looking forward to concentrating on dash, and I'll practice more for the playoffs. I've only practiced a little bit for the races I've had so far, but I'm enjoying the team aspect of it. It's cool to go into it with a group of friends, and yeah, that's probably my favorite part about it.
Me too. Well, thank you very much for coming in and doing an interview. Congratulations again on your win, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.
All right, thanks y'all for commentating, and whoever tracked and all that good stuff. Thank you all.
No problem.
Welcome, Zoast. Thank you.
All right, well, SirCabby is pulling in on Mother Brain 2 here, and is going to have a 20-shot fight. Does have enough energy to do a stand-up if he so chooses. We will see what he elects to do. But he should be finishing this thing up in the next maybe 3.5 minutes or so, maybe 3.5, 4 minutes. So yeah, we're nearing the end of the road here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Cabby's going to do stand-up or not. Looks like he's uh-oh, Cabby. Come on, buddy. There you go. I was thinking that. I had to think for a second. Did Cabby pause? Did he menu? Did he turn off Varia? So you got to be pretty careful sometimes if you run a lot of categories or if you do a lot of randomizers, a lot of different loadouts, because I almost lost a randomizer one time because I last second remembered I had turned Varia off to do stand-up, but I got hit too much by Mother Brain, and that could be a big problem.
That is true, Kev. I agree. And look at this, like, I don't know what to call this. It's like a gumball color kind of baby Metroid. Looks pretty rad, though.
These color palettes are pretty cool. I actually have to tell you, Kip, I was watching a lot of just past Item Randomizer seasons to kind of get a feel for what Item Randomizer was like before I joined the league. And I remember there being some comments about you used to play with a lot of color palettes, and there was one season where nobody got a chance to see what your Varia suit looked like because you kept picking up Gravity first.
Well, that's still happening this season. Just to be clear, I actually don't use palette swaps for the entire game. Like some of these other ones, you can, I think inside the Varia randomizer, you can have it change the entire thing. All I do is I play the vanilla game with only Samus's suit and the ship swapped, and I design those colors in advance or have friends design them, and one of my artist friends sets it up for me. But oftentimes I end up, for whatever reason, finding Gravity first, and then we never get to see the cool Varia color, which is a bummer. But anyway, SirCabby's going to sit here and looks like back into the corner here and get ready to knock out. How many? Is it 36? Do you know how many shots it is? I don't even know how many.
I think it's 36. I think you're absolutely right about that. That's the number I've heard. So Cabby wants to make sure all those hit, and again, Cabby goes and plays his own game, goes for the strats that he knows work, so he can get through the game. And I'm just happy to watch him. He did commentary for one of the earlier matches that I had in the Rando League. So the fact that I had Sunday evening free to jump in here with you in the booth and do some commentary for my teammate, I'm really excited about it. I've had an absolute wonderful time doing this tonight.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, and by the way, just to say, it's been really great to get to meet you and just all the other organizers and players that I've met, whether it's through this league or through some of the other tournaments. It's kind of nice to meet the people who inspired you to kind of play the game and try to speed run it. So, thank you very much. This has just been an awesome experience for me.
Well, I'm glad you've enjoyed it, Kev, and I'm glad that you're enjoying not only the league, but just your time in the community at large anyway. And it's kind of funny you talk about, getting to meet people and then kind of, get to know them and stuff. I really believe, like, the way that the physics of this game are so complex and the strats are so complex, there's a lot of personality even in the way that you can move Samus. And it's funny to, like over time you learn how people do strats. Like, everybody does things just slightly different. And you actually not only get to know them as people, but you can kind of see their play style coming out in the game too. So I've always found that to be kind of neat.
I would absolutely agree. I think I remember hearing you say in a comment time that you could be given 5 different runners and you could watch their runs and you'd be able to tell who they were just by what their room strats were.
Yeah, it had to be runners I was familiar with, but yes, that's true. But SirCabby finishing in second place, not being defeated by the seed, being victorious over the seed with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 32 seconds. A great performance in a very tough seed. And looks like we are joined by your teammate, SirCabby. SirCabby, congratulations on a great race, man. Tell us about what you thought about the seed.
Oh man, that was interesting, and yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it was a bit, a bit of a train wreck trying to find that gravity suit, of course. My kind of mentality going into this race, first of all, I had a lot of time to think of strategies and whatnot, but my plan was always to start out going down to Business Center and make my save there. I went in and cleaned up Norfair, and then without having I didn't have a good way for me to get into the lava dive. I'm not great at high jumpless lava dive, so I was trying to skip on that, and I'm not great at like a moat crossing, but I think I had speed booster at that point. So anyway, the plan was doing checks I didn't want to have to do. I wanted to skip Croc, but I had to check it. I went back for Waterway, went back to all the way to Rex Ship to find high jump boots, which gave me on the other side of the world, of course, lower Norfair access. So that was quite the hike. And I was really hoping, I made my backup save at Business Center again. I went down there to Lower Norfair, hoping I find gravity in case I ran to Dragon. Of course, that didn't work out. So I went ahead and finished Dragon, hoping for something to get me back out of there. I'm not good at the double spring ball jumps or anything, so I had to reset. And I knew that. I kind of knew that going in that I'd probably have to do that. So back up to Meridia, and thankfully the first check and down there was Mama Turtle, and I found it then. And then it's just like, let's see how fast I can go and clean up whatever was left. But of course, I didn't have high hopes of winning, of course, but my plan was to play the seed the best that I could, and to come at it with, a plan and everything. And I was gone visiting relatives this weekend, so I had about half an hour home to kind of warm up and practice before getting into it. It's been a few days since I got to touch the game, but overall, I'm not upset with anything I did. I had a bit of nerves, I think, early on, just kind of coming back into it. It's Zoast and all that, but I didn't get trounced as bad as I thought I could have. So I think I represented it, fairly decently, and I don't have too many big things that really bother me or anything like that.
Yeah, I think you played really well, and as you pointed out, I mean, it is what it is. I felt this way. Not only do I feel this way now, but I felt this way in particular when I first kind of started getting into a lot of the racing. But anytime you get to play one of the big names of the community like Zoast, that is such a fantastic player, even if you feel like he's a highly favored to win, it's still like a special race. It's cool to race against the people that you watch and stuff. So I totally feel you. Kev, you got some questions for your teammate here?
I mean, from a teammate's perspective, Cabby, I'm really, really proud of how you played. To be honest, you did all the same checks that Zoast did, with the exception is that he checked early X-ray after Big Pink and ended up finding Screw Attack. But other than that, y'all did pretty much the exact same thing, except Zoast also had soft locked himself. I think it was in Rex Ship at one point. But I think you raced a good race, and I think Zoast beat you by as much as Kip beat me on Thursday. So, it was good. I'm really super excited about how you played. I think you represented the team well and made a lot of really good decisions.
Yeah, actually,
thank you very much,
Abby,
Kev.
if you don't mind, when as you're answering, Kev's comments, would you mind just telling us a little bit about your experience in the league as well? Just it's been great having you guys in the league, having fun racing. Just I hope you're having fun doing it.
Oh yeah, so I wasn't really planning to get into it, to be quite honest. So I've been running randos like privately, not streaming it for maybe a year or two, and I've kind of as a hot side hobby trying to learn any percent and watching videos. And of course, I've watched UKIP and I've watched Zoast and many others in the community for a long time, for many years. So you guys have been kind of my inspiration and idols, kind of doing this stuff. And so yeah, I am kind of a stream lurker, and I've lurked with Kev and Papa on many occasions, and a few others in the community, and they got to know me a little bit, and eventually we were inviting each other to do stuff, and then it's like, hey, this league came along, and they invited me to kind of come along, and I was like, with the whole team aspect of the league and the fact that I've got people to support me and learn and practice with me, it was a lot more accessible for me personally, just as a newbie coming into the arena. And so from that aspect, it's been great. Kev and Papa and I have created this great, kind of bond and friendship over this, and we help each other practice.
Agreed,
and we plan, and yeah, it's been great. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And so I learned a lot of different types of randos I would not have gone out of my way to learn before. Route rando, of course, being an obvious one, but there's the boss one here and a few others as well. And that's been really cool. I've really enjoyed learning it, trying to figure out the logic, trying to create plans, around that logic. The boss rando had quite a few in my head as far as what I wanted to do first and whatnot. So that aspect's been really exciting for me. And of course, I get a lot of stuff wrong too. And luckily the community is so good about in the comments and chat. Especially when you do these live races, you get commentators kind of inspecting what you're doing and can pick out things. I love going back and kind of watching that. Yeah.
Speaking of chat, Cabby, there was one question that everybody wanted me to ask you. So you forgot that you had space jump at Mama Turtle when you were doing those bomb jumps. Did you realize that after you got gravity that you could have just space jumped up there, or it looked like you remembered in Meridia?
I was forgetting that multiple times. In fact, I was doing my, I think, second lava dive, and I went in there expecting to do the normal high jump lava dive where you do the wall jumps and everything. And I jumped in there and saw myself spinning with that graphic. I was like, oh wait, I've got that. So it also didn't help that I have an auto tracker set up just so I can watch my items, of course, not using the map or anything, but I have an auto track up just for the item portion, and it stopped working about halfway into the seed. I've never seen that happen before, but it just kind of broke. I don't know if a reset got into a bad state or whatnot, but I had to start clicking things manually, and I definitely clicked the space jump on late, and that's probably part of it. I may not have had it on there. I'm not sure, but yeah, I definitely.
Cabby. That's just part of the initiation process for rando. Everybody's done that.
Yeah, this is not the first. Seed that I've run in this league that I have forgotten an item I had. But luckily, it was nothing blocking progression or anything like that I didn't realize I had. I still had other means to get through the rooms. I just did not take the best ways to do it. So.
My favorite one like that in randos, I remember one time I forgot I had wave beam and I blew 10 supers trying to get the wave gate with supers. Then I'm like, what am I doing? I have the wave beam. Is it a rando if you don't forget something at least once? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, Cabby, again, congratulations. And in particular, I appreciate you sticking with it and finishing the seed. Big fan of that. But before we wrap this thing up, you have any final words that you want to express?
From my point of view, thank you guys so much for doing the comms. It's quite an honor, Kev, having you here, and Kev supporting me has been fantastic all the way through. And of course, Zoast ran a great race like he always will, and I'm very honored to have got to compete against him today. And yeah, thanks so much for the great community and all the support. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was a lot of fun racing y'all's team this week, and obviously I wish you guys the best of luck in the last couple weeks of the season. Kev, anything you want to add before we get out of here?
No, that's all. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thanks to our restreamers, trackers, and organizers in the league. It's been great working with all of you. I hope I could do a few more of these commentaries before the league is done, and hopefully I'll get to race at least one more time. It's been nothing but a blast for me, and I am full of nothing but thanks. And I will keep talking if I don't just say thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next mission.
Well, rock on, Kev. It was fun doing comms with you. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. Thanks again to everybody putting these things on, the organizers, the trackers, the commentators, the runners, the people at SG. Y'all have an excellent day, and we'll see you next week for week number 6, which will feature Random Start. See you next mission.